Once upon a time, in all the good days of the time, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house. It was a cold, bleak, bitter weather, foggy with rain, and he could hear the people in the courthouse outside going wheezing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts, stamping their feet upon a pavement stone to warm them. The city clocks had just gone. 3. But it was quite dark already. It had been light all day, and candles were flaring in the windows of the neighboring office like ruddy smears upon the pallid brown air. The fog came pouring in at every chick and keyhole, and was so dense without that although the court was of the narrowest, the houses opposite were mere phantoms. Just seeing the dingy clouds came drooping down, obscuring everything. One might have thought that nature lived hard by, and was brewing on a large scale. The door of the Scrooge's counting house was open, creak, that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, who, in a dismal little cell below, a sort of tank, was copying letters. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. But he could not replenish it, for Scrooge kept the coal box in his own room, and slowly as the clerk came in with the shovel, the master predicted that it would be necessary for them to part. Wherefore the clerk put on his right comforter and tried to warm himself at the candle, and which effort, not being a man of strong imagination, he felt. "A Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!" cried a cheerful voice. It was the voice of the Scrooge's nephew, who came upon him so quickly that this was the first imitation he had of his appearance. "Bah! Humbug!" He had so heated himself with rapid walking in the fog and frost, this nephew of Scrooge's, that he was all in a glow. His face was really handsome, his eyes sparkled, and his breath smoked again. "A Christmas a humbug?" said Scrooge's uncle. "You don't mean that, I am sure." "I do," said Scrooge. "Merry Christmas! Why have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough." "Come then," returned the nephew gaily. "What right have you to be dismal? What right have you to be morose? You're rich enough." Scrooge, having no better answer ready on the spur of the moment, said "Bah!" again, and followed it up with a "Humbug!" Don't cross me, uncle," said the nephew. "Where else can I be, when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas, out upon Merry Christmas! What Christmas time do you have? But a time for paying bills without money, a time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer, a time for balancing your books and having every item in them through a round dozens. A month presented dead against you. If I could work my will," said the Scrooge indignantly, "every idiot who goes about with a Merry Christmas on his lips should be just boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stick of holly through his own heart. He should." "Uncle," said the nephew. "Nephew," returned the uncle's son, "keep Christmas in your own way, and let me keep it in mine." "Keep it?" returned the Scrooge's nephew. "But you don't keep it." "Let me leave it alone then," said Scrooge. "Much good may it do you. Much good it has ever done you." "There are many things from which I have derived good, by which I had not profited." "I dare say," returned the nephew, "Christmas among the rest. But I am sure I have always thought of Christmas time, when it has come around, apart from the veneration due to its sacred name and origin, if anything belonging to it can be apart from that, as a good time, a kind of a kind, forgiving, cheerful, pleasant time, the only time I know of, in a long calendar of the year, when men and women seemed by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on other journey. And therefore, uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver into my pocket, I believe it has done me good, and will do me good. I say God bless it. The clerk in the tank involuntarily applauded, before coming immediately sensible of the impropriety. He poked the fire, extinguished the last fellow spark forever. "Let me hear another word out of you," said Scrooge, "and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. You're quite a powerful speaker, sir," he added, turning to his nephew. I wonder you don't go into Parliament." "Don't be angry, uncle. Come, dine with us tomorrow." Scrooge said he would see him. Yes, indeed, he did. He went to the whole length of expressing, and said that he would see him in the extremity first. "But why?" cried the nephew. "Why?" "Because you did." "Why did you get married?" said Scrooge. "Because I fell in love." "Because you fell in love?" growled Scrooge, as if that were the only reason in the world more ridiculous than a Merry Christmas. "Good afternoon." "Nay, uncle, but you never came to see me before that happened. Why do you give a reason for not coming now?" "Good afternoon," said Scrooge. "I want nothing from you. I ask nothing from you." "Why can't we be friends?" "Good afternoon," said Scrooge. "I am sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We have never had any court to which I have been a party, but I have made a try in homage to Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humor to the last. So Merry Christmas, uncle." Good afternoon," said the Scrooge. "And a Happy New Year." "Good afternoon," said the Scrooge. His nephew left the room without an angry word. Notwithstanding, he stopped at the outer door to bestow the greetings of the season on his clerk, who, cold as he was warmer than the Scrooge, for he returned them cordially. "There's another fellow," muttered Scrooge, who overheard him. "My clerk with 15 shillings a week, and a wife and a family, talking about a Merry Christmas. I'll retire to Bedlam." This lunatic, in letting the Scrooge's nephew out, had let 2 other people in. They were poor elderly gentlemen, pleasant to behold, and now with their hats off, in Scrooge's office, they had books and papers in their hands, and bowed to him. "Scrooge and Molly, I believe," said one of the gentlemen referred to as us. "Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Molly?" Mr. Molly has been dead these 7 years," Scrooge replied angrily. He had died 7 years ago, this very night. "We have no doubt this liberty is well represented by his surviving partners," said the gentleman, presenting his credentials. "It certainly was. For there has been 2 kindred spirits at the anonymous word liberality." Scrooge frowned and shook his head and handed the credentials back. "At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge," said the gentleman, taking up a pen, "it is more than usually desirable that we should make some light provisions for the poor and destitute, who suffer greatly at the present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessities. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts, sir." "Are there no prisons?" asked Scrooge. "Plenty of prisons," said the gentleman, laying down the pen again. "And union workhouses?" demanded the Scrooges. "Are they still in operation?" "They are still in operation, still," returned the gentleman. "I wish I could say they were not." "The treadmill and the poor law are in full vigor, then?" said Scrooge. "Both are very busy, sir." "Oh, I was afraid from what you had said at first that something has occurred to stop them, and a useful course. I am very glad to hear it." Under the impression that they scarcely furnish Christmas cheer of mind or body to the multitude, returned the gentleman, "a few of us are endeavoring to raise funds to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. We choose this time because it is a time of all others when want is keenly felt,